If you told me 10 or 15 years ago that I would one day be a rabbi, I would have thought you were crazy. I've been on quite a journey that took me through 10 years doing molecular biology and genetics research, 10 years as a marketer in the genomics industry, and almost 10 years as a stay-at-home dad, writer, and life coach. For my first High Holiday sermon here at CBT, I'll start tonight by sharing how my Jewish journey got started. I was born a poor Jewish child in New York City. Okay, well, I won't go that far back. I was raised in Syracuse, New York, and it was really a nice place to grow up, and unfortunately, it has become one of the poorest cities in America. My family went to a high reform synagogue, which included lots of English, an organ, and an electronic ark that opened with the push of a button. No one wore a kippah, and we used the Ashkenazi pronunciation, which means we said, Baruch Hu es Adonai, instead of Baruch Hu et Adonai. I was a city kid, and most of the other kids at shul were rich and from the suburbs. I didn't really make friends, and honestly did not enjoy my experience on Sunday school or at Hebrew school during the week. My family celebrated Passover, Hanukkah, and even Christmas when I was young. Years later, Christmas became a day for a movie, and what kind of food? Chinese food, you got it. We only went to services on the high holidays, with the exception of the run-up to my bar mitzvah. In fact, in 2012, when I was asked to join the board of my synagogue, I blurted out, "But I never go to services." I was embarrassed and a little ashamed and was sure there must have been some kind of mistake. Charlie Rothschild, the past president, assured me that there was no mistake. They appreciated me for what I had done for the community as a volunteer. I co-organized the family camping trip with my wife, Rachel, and did some adult ed teaching. For me, those things were fun and a way of making friends. But if they thought I would be a good member of the board, who was I to say no? Perhaps that was the beginning of a shift for me. When I started to let go of feelings of not being Jewish enough. I sometimes felt embarrassed in Jewish spaces because I didn't know much Hebrew, sheepish around rabbis because I didn't keep kosher, and indifferent to Yiddish jokes. I later realized that the Reform rabbis I spoke to also didn't keep kosher. The discomfort I felt was my issue, a way that this feeling of not being Jewish enough expressed itself. And yet I loved being Jewish. Coming together with the community for the high holidays was always meaningful to me. I took the experience of reflection seriously, and without fail, the day after Yom Kippur, I felt refreshed and renewed. So if you only come to B'nai Torah for high holiday services, you are in very good company. We are so glad you are here, and if you don't know much Hebrew, well, welcome to the club. When I started rabbinical school in 2019, I had to start from almost the beginning with my Hebrew studies. And let me tell you, learning Hebrew in my 50s was one of the hardest things I had to do. My father loved to tell me the story of Rabbi Akiva, who was a poor shepherd who went to the Torah Academy at the age of 40. Akiva thought that he was too old to learn Torah until one day he saw a hole in the rock by a well of water. He discovered the hole was formed by a slow drip of the water, which over time wore through the stone. Akiva realized that if something soft like water could cut through a hard rock, then something solid like Torah could penetrate his brain. Drip, drip, drip. He went on to be one of the greatest and most influential rabbis in history. I think for my dad, a man in his 50s at the time, who had had some tough breaks in life, Akiva's story gave him hope that there is always time to learn more and to do more. Drip, drip, drip. We are a people and a culture of lifelong learning. We believe that wherever you are, whatever you may know or not know, we all have an opportunity to learn more and grow into better people. And the best way to learn and to grow is with other people. Tomorrow, we will read in the Torah the story of creation. You are probably familiar with it. God created light and said, "It is." That's right. God separated water and dry land, and it was. God created plants and animals, and it was. And God created the first human, an androgynous being, and God looked at all of creation and said, "Look, you're close." He said it was very good. I think I heard one person say that out there. But then God noticed something. The human was alone, and that was not good. If you think about the literature, it's good, 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 not good. Oh, something's going on here. Now, this first human had a lot going for them. A beautiful place to live in the Garden of Eden, a job naming plants and animals, and the divine for company. But God said it is not good for a human to be alone. Yes, having a relationship with the divine was not enough. The Adam, the first human, surely knew God in the Garden of Eden, but the Adam was still lonely. How long was this first human alone? It could have been centuries, and I imagine it felt like an eternity. The first human must have been unhappy. Otherwise, why would God say it is not good to be alone? Maybe they were going about their job of naming plants and animals and taking care of the earth and pushed down those feelings of loneliness. Even in that case, I imagine that the first human felt that something was missing. There was a gnawing, an emptiness, a hollowness. The first human didn't know what was missing, but God knew. Well, why did God create only human? God did not create one tree or one bird. Well, the sages of the Mishnah, some of our earliest rabbinic literature, said that God created a single human so that no one could say that their parent was more important than someone else's parent. After all, we are all descended from the same person and therefore are part of the same family. The sages continued, teaching that because the first human was an entire universe, when any human dies, it is like the entire universe was destroyed. Whatever the reason for creating only one human, the divine did something about it by making another person to be with the Adam. We are in Colorado. We know the wonder and beauty of nature, and we see how good it is. We know in our bones how precious and magical the mountains and sky and lakes are. Tov me'od, very good. Being all together, tov me'od, very good. But that does not mean that some people here are not lonely. If the first human was in the Garden of Eden and was lonely, we can be lonely in Colorado. And according to the census in 2024, 38% of Coloradans felt lonely at least some of the time. If we look around this room, that means a lot of people in this room may feel lonely some of the time. The good news is that, like the divine, we have an opportunity to do something about it. Rabbi Marc Katz, the author of Heart of Loneliness, How Jewish Wisdom Can Help You Cope and Find Comfort, teaches that loneliness is a desire for deep connection when there is none. We might feel lonely because we are going through a difficult time that we can't discuss, like grief, divorce, caregiving, or unemployment. Maybe we don't have work colleagues that we connect with, are longing for a romantic partner, or are suffering from former allies saying insensitive or hurtful things after October 7th. When people do not see us for who we really are, we feel lonely. During this season of introspection, we can combat loneliness in two ways. First, if you are lonely, Rabbi Katz suggests that you reach out. Now, this is easier said than done, especially if we're not feeling so well. It takes courage and vulnerability. When did God act to send Moses to free the Israelites from slavery? Only after they cried out. In a similar way, it is only when we call out that others can notice and accompany us on the path to healing. If we take even a small step, sometimes others will meet us and help us take that second. And who knows, that one step might be all it takes to become unstuck. Not surprisingly, finding someone else is critical for addressing loneliness. Rabbi Katz also shared the story of Rabbi Yochanan, who could cure the loneliness of Rabbi Hanina, but not his own. Why? Because a captive cannot free themselves. Please consider this an open invitation to come talk to me, whether you are a member of B'nai Torah or not. I'd love to connect with you and listen to your story. Now, a second way to combat loneliness is to help others address their loneliness. If saving a life is saving a universe, then helping someone feel less lonely means an empty universe will become filled with more love and connection. If someone takes a chance and shares their pain, we need to be mindful to listen without judgment and not try to fix things. Judaism teaches that when someone is sharing their suffering, our job is to be a companion to them. As it says in the Midrash, a person does not speak of their destitution except in the time of their ease. In other words, we need to make it safe for them to speak. I want to name that it's really hard to hear of another's pain, but trying to fix things or offering encouragement at the wrong time is giving the other person what we need them to have to address our own discomfort. It is not what they need. They don't need our ideas. They need friendship, love, and acceptance. Another cure for loneliness is community. And community starts with being here. If you are here and see someone you don't know, you have an opportunity to introduce yourself and to make them feel welcome. And after you've talked to them for a while, introduce them to someone else. The more people they meet, the higher the chance that something will click. Not everyone is comfortable going up to people they don't know, but this is an invitation to give it a try. High school was a lonely time for me. Things were difficult at home, and I couldn't talk about them with my friends. I remember one day when I was a senior, I decided that I was tired of waiting for other people to come to me. I was sitting at my desk waiting for class to begin, and I said something to the girl sitting in front of me. I don't remember what I said, and I don't remember what she said. But I do remember the look on her face when she twisted around in her seat to answer me. She looked pleasantly surprised. We became friendly and friends. And okay, Don't tell her, but she was a secret crush of mine, and I never asked her out. But it was really nice. And when Rachel and I were in Tel Aviv after October 7th, she sent me the nicest message of support on Facebook. We hadn't spoken in over 30 years. And wow, did it make me feel less alone, as did the many other messages of support that I got. During this season of reflection, who might you reach out to? It doesn't need to be an extreme situation like the one I describe, and I really hope that it isn't. But reaching out to someone may have a bigger impact than you could possibly know. Wishing you all a sweet new year. May it be filled with connection, hope, and deeds of loving kindness.